Hey kids, you're about to listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast featuring Dr. London Smith. Happy Mother's Day to all you Introducing your host, Dr. London Smith.
Hello, and welcome to the Jock podcast, where we discuss fitness and health and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, drlondonsmith.com. I would like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We've received some feedback about the excessive amount of technical medical terminology that I've been using, such as gated photon emission computed tomography and Happy Mother's Day, so I will try to temper my terminology to a simpler one in the future. Here to help with that is our producer Cameron.
Hey, I think that's a haiku, right?
Our producer Cameron?
Yeah. Oh no, it's a palindrome.
I'm not sure. I think
if you do our producer Cameron, and if you were to flip that around, it should be our producer Cameron. It's a palindrome.
Yes.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. So that's Cameron, our
it's
producer.
At least a haiku. If it's not a palindrome, it has to be a haiku, right? Doesn't it have to be one or the other?
Yes.
I don't know that it's forced. Like, I don't know that that's a default for anything. Like, I don't even think it's a pun, which I think is the loosest of. In any case, so Cameron here.
Well, you're not a word doctor anyway, so whatever.
So Cameron is so dedicated to making sure that our podcast stays relevant that when he heard that Mother's Day was coming up, he began talking in a more matronly voice and driving whatever kids he could find to soccer practice. And Cameron, how's that been going?
It's been going really well. It's been very lucrative for sure. I think, obviously this came from a form of jealousy. There's not a single day celebrating me. I mean, there's my birthday, but there's not like a Cameron day. And so these mothers get these days, these fathers get these days, even these people who talk like a pirate get these days. And for me, I would just like my own day. So I feel like if I could steal a day from someone else, that would be the easiest thing to do. And that's the path that I've gone down. I'm a thief. I'm a bad boy. That's been established on the show. I'm a bad boy.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, so one thing you said, it's lucrative. Are you charging the children to have a ride to soccer practice?
If they want to get out of the car, they have to give me whatever's on them. And so a lot of times when these kids are going to soccer practice, if they haven't eaten yet or whatever, their parents will give them $10. They'll be like, oh, just like there's a concession stand there, just get something while you're there. Or, maybe the kids go to Cece's afterwards, Cece's Pizza, and so their parents gave them some bucks. I get to keep all that. Otherwise, they can't get out.
So it's kind of like a threatened kidnapping if they don't pay you.
Well, there's no threatening. It's a locking mechanism. So it's not like there has to be any threatening. It's just this is a car lock. It is going to stay in that position until it receives all the money that your parents have given you, and then it'll just pop up. But regardless, I'm expecting a lot of presents on Mother's Day. And so I'm extremely excited to have co-opted this holiday for myself.
Okay, I should clarify that. So Mother's Day is usually when we celebrate the mothers in our lives and motherhood in general, rather than like, trying to take it on for ourselves. In any case,
I think it should celebrate all mothers, not just mothers from the hood.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. And I meant motherhood in terms of the occupation, like being a mother, But in any case, to all of the moms out there, we celebrate you. Thank you for, birthing us. Also with us is Digital in the house.
I'm a thief. I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy.
Yes.
I'm a thief. I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy.
Nope.
I'm a thief. I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy.
Yes.
That's been established on the show.
I don't think so.
I'm a bad boy.
Loud noises!
I'm a thief. I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy.
I'm a thief. I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy.
I'm a thief. I'm a bad boy. I'm a bad boy.
I'm a bad boy.
And later, Cameron tells me that we can expect a special guest, so look forward to that. Before we move on, though, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. I found this note in my lab coat after I got it back from the dry cleaners. The note reads, quote, "Girl to the right is gorgeous. I do not agree with tattoos, though. You won't be buried in the right cemetery. Better buy your plots now." End quote. So, first of all, I would like to thank you so much for reaching out to us here at the Jock podcast.
Yes.
To answer your question, I'm unsure about the connection between tattoos and burial plots, but I certainly hope that there is no discrimination going on in that regard.
Well, I think it's in the Jewish tradition that if you have a tattoo, you're buried in a different. You can't be buried in whatever official area. You have to be buried in a different spot. But I think in your case, because you're not Jewish, I think in your case it doesn't seem that relevant, because you, with all the people that you kind of botch and mess up, you just throw them in a pile out back. They don't seem to get buried at all. They they stack up. I mean, that's the opposite of being buried. 6 feet under, that's like 12 feet high.
Okay, well, I didn't want to I didn't realize there was this sort of religious aspect. In any case, thank you to this listener for listening. And now, normally I would share a tale from the clinic, from hospital life, but Cameron has actually been introducing some tips for ways to manage during the quarantine, and he really wanted to take a big part of the education aspect of this show, so he has some helpful tips for us.
Cameron's coronavirus tips. Cameron's coronavirus tips.
Cameron's coronavirus tips.
That's right, Dr. London. Over the last few weeks, we've talked about a lot of different ways at first to avoid the virus, then how to handle the virus, and then how to sort of live in this new world, in a post-virus world. Not truly post-virus, but I guess post-lockdown. And first, we talked about the quarantine submarine. This was a submarine that you would use to get to the bottom of the ocean, or maybe the bottom of a YMCA pool, to avoid the virus. Then we talked about the quarantine trampoline, which allowed you to bounce away from the virus as quickly and as high as possible. Then we talked about the quarantine mezzanine, which, a mezzanine is sort of like on the second floor of a building, but it's not really a second floor. But regardless, it's just too high for the virus to get to. And so we were having parties and stuff up there. And then next, we talked about the quarantine in between.
But do we need to hear each of these, recapped to understand? Because they all seem separate enough that, not related enough to necessarily need.
So then we talked about the quarantine in between, which was sort of a elevated plane that I had moved to once I have sort of defeated the virus. Then it became the quarantine cave and stream. These are the caves and streams that you decided to move into post-quarantine, such as we all did and have done. And then we talked about the quarantine rice and beans. This is just about eating rice and beans. Just a ton of rice and beans. Good thing to have. It's healthy. It's cheap. Good for quarantine. Good for not quarantine. Now, today, Dr. London, we're going to talk about the quarantine limousine. Now, ideally, during this quarantine, you weren't wasting the entire quarantine. You were investing like everyone else was. So hopefully you've been investing in Zoom. Hopefully you've been investing in, like mask companies. Hopefully you've been investing in Lysol and hand sanitizer and maybe like Quibi and these kind of things that have been making tons of money lately. And so now it's time to live it up. Now, I know you're living in a cave, but you can have the biggest and raddest cave. And here's the thing. Here's the advantage to being extremely wealthy, is that everything you can purchase gets to be super big, which means you get to create more space so you can still maintain social distancing wherever you go and wherever you live. So you have the biggest cave, you have the biggest pool. You can still be far away from all your friends. You've got a quarantine limousine. It's stylish. You get to, strut around town, and it's not really a town. It's just more of a connected cave system. So you get to strut around the connected cave system that you live in now. And you get to go around, and you get to have your friends in your limousine with you while still maintaining social distancing. So it's the quarantine limousine.
Okay, I guess part of my problem here is I don't live in a cave, and I think most people still just live, either wherever they were living.
That is a huge problem. That's not just part of your problem. That is your main problem, is that you do not yet live in a cave. You should have taken care of that weeks ago.
Yeah, I already lived somewhere. That was the problem. So
yeah, but it was not in a cave. It's not near a stream. So it's not really living in this post-virus world.
Well, see, Okay. So you're saying your advice, your tip for people is that they should that they should have already invested wisely before this crisis happened and profited from it.
Well, we talked about 2 weeks ago when we were talking about the quarantine cave and stream that money is no longer relevant in this world. It's shares that you have in tech startups. That's the only thing that matters. So, you and your neighbor Grug, you're exchanging tools to start a fire in your cave, or you're exchanging spears to hunt. Instead of, giving each other dollar bills with these presidents that don't matter anymore, we're giving each other shares of Snapchat or shares of Heads Up, or shares of, Flappy Bird.
So I haven't seen that change happening. That's I guess been the issue for me. It's been.
Yeah, because you don't have your ear to the ground. Instead, you've got your head up your.
Oh, okay, and maybe it's because I've been social distancing so much that I guess just. From my experience, I've still had to pay using, my debit card.
Oh, man, I wish it was that easy still. Oh, man, I wish it was that easy still. I had to acquire shares in Pixa. I don't even know what that is. And then I had to exchange that just to get a piece of gum.
Yeah, that sounds much more difficult than reality requires.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, yeah. I guess that's a good time to move on anyway. Now for today's medical topic, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is a typically autosomal dominant condition in which a sarcomere mutation results in septal hypertrophy that prevents outflow of blood, or at least proper outflow of blood, from the left ventricle of the heart, which is the left lower chamber. Patients are classically young athletes presenting with shortness of breath or syncope, also known as fainting, on exertion. They may also have family history of sudden cardiac death. And so another classic example would be some young athlete who they're playing sports and then they just drop dead.
Classic example.
Yeah.
One of the most classic things in American culture is athletes playing sports. I completely agree with that.
Yeah. And so this example would be they die suddenly and they seem perfectly young and healthy, but it's because of this septal hypertrophy in the heart. So clinically, these patients may present with shortness of breath on exertion.
Don't you think you're taking this all like too seriously?
Taking what?
Like, why are you just like you're making all of this into like a big deal? I don't know, all the stuff you're talking about, your heart and these young kids dying and stuff. Don't you think it just kind of aren't you just taking it like just like chill?
Okay, and so
it just seems like you're making a mountain out of a mole man.
Well, to these, to the patients who deal with this, it's actually, potentially life-changing how it affects them. So that's one reason why I try to, give it a little bit of weight. But, clinically they present with shortness of breath on exertion, chest pain.
Patients don't want a doctor that's going to be like, oh, you're going to die. Oh, everything is so serious. Life's so serious. No one ever hangs. They want a doctor that they can chill with and that they can like have a beer with. And I think, like, again, it just seems like you're making a mountain out of a mole man.
Yeah, it's really, so the doctor-patient relationship is more based on, they're paying me to treat them. That's really the, I'm there to help them with their illness. And so it's not usually a social call.
Just seems like you're taking it a little too seriously. But go ahead,
yeah.
Whatever.
So these patients can also present with syncope, after exertion or the Valsalva maneuver. And that's where you kind of like whenever you're little, you hold your breath or you take a breath and then you hold your nose and you bear down a little bit. That's what the Valsalva maneuver is. They can also present with sudden death, like I said, unauscultation, which means listening with a stethoscope. These patients will have a loud S-force.
So this is sort of, instead of SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome, this is more like sudden big boy death syndrome.
Yeah, or young man.
Because instead of an infant, it's like a big boy.
Yeah. It's usually a young athlete is the classic example, but it could be in a big boy as well. Yeah. I guess comparatively, I'm not sure this is necessarily the best, because sudden infant death syndrome has less specific pathological, traceable issues, whereas this one you can actually do something about it. So so these patients will have a loud S4 sound, a systolic ejection murmur best heard at the left lower sternal border that increases with Valsalva and standing and decreases in intensity with squatting, lying down, or leg raise. And this is due to the decreased outflow obstruction. So hypertrophic cardiomyopathy actually sounds similar to aortic stenosis, except that these positions would have the opposite effect on how loud the murmur is. Patients may also have rapidly increasing carotid pulse with 2 upstrokes. Definitive diagnosis is with echocardiogram, which is an ultrasound of the heart, and that's paired with clinical diagnosis and family history. Treatment.
But I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like people want to have like a fun Saturday. You know what I mean? And so they go to your doctor office and they like kind of want to hang out and they want to chill. And you're making them do these like sonograms or monograms or whatever you're talking about, mammograms. Don't you think they want to just like have a good time while they're there? And like not waste their Saturday with some guy just babbling on, just being like, oh, let me scan you. Oh, can I please scan you?
Wait, do you think that people go to my office to hang out on a Saturday? That's my... You haven't been advertising that way, have you?
That your office is just a great place to hang? Of course I've been advertising it that way because it should have that kind of atmosphere.
See,
and you're turning away customers by being so desperate and thirsty. Being like, "Oh, can I take your blood? Let me take your blood. Dude, I got to take your blood. Oh, let me take your temperature."
Well, so those we really just take the temperature. Well, that we take with every appointment, just taking vitals, but then also taking their blood and whatever. That's to figure out a specific diagnosis depending on the person. But anyway, treatment is with beta blockers.
People are just there to like have a couple beers, and you're like, "Oh, get in this machine, get in this big like spaceship looking machine that you slide into."
Oh, and
it's like, dude, people are there just have a beer.
I guess that hasn't been my experience so much. Most people don't come in wanting to have a beer, as far as I am aware.
Whatever, I don't care anymore.
Okay, well, so treatment is with beta blockers and avoiding dehydration. So these athletes are really not allowed to get their heart rate up. Treatment can also be with alcohol ablation or myectomy. That's cutting out that part of the heart that's overgrown. Another potential treatment may be pacemaker implantation, but that depends on the clinical scenario. And for the record, like, I do try to make it a relaxing atmosphere whenever people come to the clinic. It's not really a have a beer kind of atmosphere.
Oh, dude, let me just put this puffy thing on your arm so I can, like, read some numbers about your, like, cholesterol or your whatever. Your, like, blood pressure or whatever. Oh, dude, let me just do that. Let me just swipe this thing on your forehead for 1 second.
Yeah, so that's just taking vitals is what you're describing, I think.
Oh, it's like people are there to hang. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's... Anyway, we try to put forth a professional environment because we're trying to be, professional. In any case, we can move on from there. And Cameron, you said that we had a guest today?
That is right, Dr. London. We sure do.
All right. Hello there. My name is drlondonsmith.com, and this is our producer, Cameron. What was your name?
Rev Jay.
Rev Jay.
Rev Jay. Is that...
Yeah. It's short for Reverend, because I'm a Reverend.
Okay. Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say you are irreverent or a reverend?
Yes.
Okay.
Whoa. A little bit of a naughty reverend.
That's an inclusive or.
Okay. Okay, well, good to know. So, is that... I guess that would answer my, maybe my first question, which is, what do you do? What brings you here, Rev Jay?
Yes, well, I'm a traveling nomad, and I just came across your podcast on Spotify when I was wandering through Spotify, and I just had to reach out, had to say namaste.
Namaste.
Okay.
Wow.
And so whenever you say because you're calling yourself a nomad, like, that's a title, as opposed to like reverend.
Nomad is a more
which was
informal
so
thing that I call myself. Reverend is actually on the certificate that I got online from the Universal Life Church Monastery.
Oh,
yeah, I'm a cardinal there.
Oh, like the bird.
They actually let you choose your own title, believe it or not.
Okay, so, and you chose Rev J, I guess, or you chose Reverend because you wanted to use the name Rev J?
It's more of a chicken or the egg type of thing. It's hard to say, but they both sounded like an idea at the time, and so I just rolled with it.
Okay.
So you're saying one gave birth to the other?
Yes, and that one in turn gave birth to another.
Just kind of infinitely down in terms of your titles.
Yes, exactly. One just names the next one, and it's endless.
I do want to clarify also, you said that they let you choose any title. That is not true, because my original title was 5008. So when you looked at it upside down, it would look like boobs, and they canceled that. They didn't let me have that title.
Oh, okay. I should specify there is a drop-down menu of pre-selected choices you could choose from. You can't just choose any old title.
Trust me, I spent a lot of money on fixing this.
Yeah. Weeks, right?
Well, it's all worth it to be ordained.
Yeah, so tell me about I guess for one thing, what brings you on this show? Because, so this is actually a medical education podcast.
Yes. Well, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I was just doing a personal reading of your auras, each of your auras, and I noticed that there was an imbalance in your solar plexus chakras. Both of you. in fact. And I just wanted to... Yeah, it's okay. It happens all the time. Chakras just go out of balance every, it can just happen. But there's no reason to freak out, because I have some exercises that will help bring that chakra back into that line.
Tell me, Nomad Reverend, is it fatal?
Absolutely not fatal.
Thank you.
You don't have to worry. All it will really affect is just your day-to-day life. So there's two ways.
Oh, so the only thing it will affect is just everything in my life.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It will not.
That is a relief for Cameron,
Okay.
because he avoids doing most of those things.
Anyway, so there's two ways that your solar plexus chakra can be out of balance, and it can be underactive or overactive. Now, Dr. London, I think your solar plexus chakra is underactive. And that could mean you maybe have a lack of confidence, low self-esteem, you're indecisive, you're helpless, your lack of purpose.
Right.
Okay, it's okay, but there are activities you can do to just bring that back into focus. And Dr. Cameron, not doctor. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Are
It's
you
an
a
honor.
doctor? No. Can I?
In the
Are
same
you a doctor?
in the same way that like Dr. Pepper is a doctor, sure.
Okay. So
not like
that
no
makes
degree to it.
It's more like an honorary title for my soda.
That makes more sense then. I think, Cameron, that your solar plexus chakra is actually overactive, which means maybe you might feel a little desire for control, maybe overly critical, or excessive stubbornness, maybe a little bit of anger and aggression.
Okay, I mean
maybe
justified
a little bit
anger and aggression.
judgmental. Well, yes, of course, yes. Now,
I mean, Dr. London, does this speak to you? Because
everything
he was saying about you sounded 100% accurate to me. Well, he was calling you like a pathetic loser and like someone who like quits everything and someone who has like no drive and like is going nowhere or whatever he said. That all rang really true. Is that something that you felt?
No. So I felt like I feel like I have a fair amount of self-confidence that kind of comes with the role of practicing medicine. You have to kind of know what you're talking.
No,
you have to know what you're talking about.
I don't think though
well enough to convince a patient to follow your directions.
You're saying that it's impossible for doctors to deal with insecurity. That doctors and confidence go together.
I'm not saying that that's like a definite thing, but
is that your medical expertise?
Dr. London, that's
Dr.
exactly the type of indecisive lack of confidence that I'm talking about. But that's okay, because there are activities you could do to help with that. And now here are a list of things. For example, you could try new things, spend time in the sun. You could do yoga for solar plexus chakras. Now here are some yoga poses you could try. The Paripurna Navasana, Titibhasana, Bharadvajasana, Surya Namaskar,
it sounds like you're just
and Dhyarnasana.
reading these off like you've never read them before. But also, so trying new things, that sounds nice. Going out in the sun, we can all use some vitamin D probably. So those sound like actual good healthy advice. I don't know how much. So you say that doing these general healthy things will help.
Oh well, but there's more that you have to do though. Actually,
okay.
There's also some affirmations that you have to say. Now here's some solar plexus chakra in mind affirmations that speak to that. You can say, now repeat these after me, okay? I love and accept my house.
Which one of us is repeating this?
Oh, both.
I'm sorry,
of
could you repeat it?
Oh, so wait, are there not different exercises for different? Because it sounds like me and London have opposite issues, right?
they're opposite issues, but they're healed by the same
Brought back to the middle.
manner of thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just
Whoa.
both kind of like a magnet. Yeah.
Whoa.
And then, yeah.
That's wild.
It's crazy.
Well, and I should clarify here, Cameron, before we do this, that this isn't one of those, what's that one movie, where they switch bodies if they say the same thing. Like, I just want to clarify, because I know every time we have to say something in unison, this becomes an issue. We're not going to switch bodies. I want to...
Oh, are you talking about Sideways?
No, Friday...
Freddy Got Fingered.
No.
Friday Night Lights?
Friday Night Lights, yeah.
Freaky
the movie,
Friday.
not the show.
Freaky Friday.
The movie version.
So, I mean, Dr. Linden, I can promise you I'm not going to coach high school football. I'm not going to teach you how to, get through your problems at home through allegories like about football. I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
No Friday Night Lights, funny business is going on here.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify this before, like, in case you reacted somehow. Okay, so what are we supposed to say?
So now repeat after me these 5 phrases. I love and accept my house.
I love and accept my house.
I am authentic.
I am
autistic.
I feel my own powers.
I feel my own powers.
I feel myself.
I am free to choose in any situation.
I am free to
I am
choose
free
in any
to
situation.
choose anything that I want.
I direct my own life.
I've directed 42 movies.
Yes.
So saying those phrases plus doing generally healthy things aligns your chakras. Are we fixed then?
Nope.
Next is we take a crystal, specifically a tiger's eye crystal.
Okay.
And if you don't have that, then
Not on me.
any object that is yellow will work also.
Well, I actually have some interesting science about this. And Dr. Lennon, maybe you can speak to this as a doctor, is that you should have yellow inside of you at all times because of your pee-pee. Could you speak to the medical truthness of that, Dr. London?
Because of your what? I'm sorry, I missed that last word.
Pee-pee?
Okay. So I mean, just to let you know, you do have something yellow inside of you at all times. Like your adipose tissue tends to have a yellowish tinge to it. Your pancreas also has a yellow color to it. So you don't have to bring things in, but so your urine is colored by bilirubin. That's from the breakdown of red blood cells and things. So you do have those things in your body, but that's not, you don't need to try to make yourself yellow.
If I can just speak to that point right there. Now, that's interesting and very fascinating because the urine is it's stored in the body roughly around the same area as the solar plexus chakra, which is right behind your belly button. Oh. And it just so happens that chakra is also yellow in color. Each chakra is a different color, so it kind of makes a rainbow. But you have to be able to view it in spiritual dimensions, not in the ultraviolet sense.
So you can...
Dr. London's not going to get this. He's gonna question you, and he's going to be condescending about it because Dr. London doesn't believe in this kind of stuff. He's always like, "Show me the data. Let me check your forehead. Let me look at. Let me take your blood." He doesn't understand things on a further spiritual level.
Well,
isn't that right, Dr. London?
Well, I think part of the issue is that I have seen bodies cut open before, and so far I have not seen these chakras. But you're talking about it like it's a very specific thing in a very specific place and color.
Yes. And that's the great thing, I think you'll agree with me here, Dr. London, about science, is that you don't have to believe in the science for it to be actually happening and doing its thing.
Yes, exactly.
Like electricity.
Absolutely. Okay. And gravity.
Yeah. And the earth being flat.
Yeah. I mean, what you stated specifically, yes, is true. I don't know that principle transfers to
all things.
Just to chakras, like to their legitimacy. But in any case,
I'm glad that you're finally on board with the earth being flat, though, Dr. London. This has taken weeks.
Hello, I'm Dr. London Smith.
I believe that the earth is flat. Hey! I believe that the earth is flat. Whoa!
I feel like that the earth is flat.
He said the earth is flat, and you said, well, obviously that's true.
Okay, no.
What you're saying is true.
I was speaking more to the idea.
I did kind of slip that in there.
And Rev Jay, I really appreciate this. I have been talking about this for months and months and months. And so now for Dr. London to finally open up his mind, he's talking about like, oh, I've seen inside bodies and I can't see this chakra. But how are you going to see it if your eyes are closed, bro? If your eyes are still closed and you're unwilling to open them, then of course you're not going to see it. And now that maybe your eyes are open to the earth being flat and there being military presence on the outskirts of the flat earth to prevent people from getting to the edge to prove it, and all of that being true, maybe now that your mind's open about that, your mind will be open about this little thing behind the belly button that determines if you're like cool or not.
Like they say, when your two eyes close, the third eye grows.
Absolutely.
It's like when you're asleep.
Yes, exactly.
Or blindfolded, maybe.
Yep. Anytime the eyes are closed, yeah, that's where you start to go. When you're in a dream state, your brain is going on theta waves, which are like much deeper, and you're in your subconscious state.
Dr. London, could you talk about the science behind that? The medical science behind that?
Behind fadeaways?
Yeah, behind like
fadeaway.
Like when you're dreaming and you've got like fadeaways and like you're like kind of waving and you're kind of like vibing and you're on like your own like plane. Could you talk about the medical science behind that?
So there are different phases of sleep, and the most famous and I guess very useful in a lot of ways is REM sleep, rapid eye movement.
Easily the most famous part of sleep. Everyone's
Rock
always
band
talking
of
about
the 90s.
The most famous part of sleep, REM.
Well, I say it because it's the one that people will recognize as, oh yes, I know that little fact. Whereas, the different, say phase 2, not as famous. It doesn't have as much going out. Whereas REM, that has your dreams in it.
All right. Well, the point is that like your dreams are vibing, and I think we can all establish that. And you're working on a certain wavy plane. And so, Rev Jay, I want to talk about. You talked about you're sort of a nomad, but then you were also talking about how like you were sort of traveling through cyberspace. You were traveling through Spotify to find our podcast. Are you more of a digital nomad, or are you moving around physically? Like, where have you been going?
Most recently, I've been all through the digital and astrological planes, but recently I've become more of a digital hermit and just avoiding general.
Digital hermit meaning you stick to exactly one website and you don't venture out beyond that?
That's exactly a very good way to put it. In fact, yes, I don't venture out as one would physically. I do not do that digitally either.
Okay, so which website? Are we talking about, Facebook or
Reddit?
Reddit. There is a lot of information on Reddit, a lot of theories there. So
a lot of mostly true information. I actually have learned a lot from Reddit over this quarantine coronavirus period.
Like,
did you know that if you close your eyes and then stick your fingers in your ears, then you can just say that it's not happening, and it works.
Yeah.
What does it do? How does it work? In what way does it work?
It wins. It wins the virus. It beats it.
Checkmate.
Thank you.
Okay, so you go to Reddit and you travel there. Is that where you do your preaching as a reverend?
No, I don't actually do any preaching. That's more of just a formality that I go by.
Okay, so that's really just for the sake of calling yourself a rev.
Yes.
You're a reverend in the same sense that I'm a doctor. You're like a Reverend Pepper.
That's a good way to put it, yes.
Except that people don't even call Cameron doctor.
And I do have a certificate also.
Yeah, no, I don't doubt that. So you're on Reddit, you're traveling around digitally by, I guess, you click around. And where have these journeys taken you, and I guess how has this helped you to find, I guess I'm trying to think of a way where this comes back to medicine somehow, and I'm sure.
Well, I just want to know I really just want to know what's the nomadic part of your name, because we've gone from you're a digital nomad that like searches through Spotify, but now you're a digital hermit that has never left Reddit. So where have your travels led you? That's all I want an answer to.
They've led to right here.
Now that is a good answer.
That is a good answer.
I love that.
I would like to also specify the nomad identification or self-identification, I guess, is more of in the physical plane, not the digital one of me traveling around, because I do like to travel in the three-dimensional space.
I love that.
I do want to clarify one question here. Is there any chance that you adopted the nomadic sort of title just because you aren't angry? Or like you're anti-anger, nomad? Because
yes,
I could see how...
And that's a very excellent point. That's actually how the term nomad was derived, because originally they were a people that had a great civilization built, and some army came in and took it, and they were like, it's all chill. We'll just go find another place.
It's true.
And then they just never stopped because they loved traveling. And that was the real treasure, was the friends that they made along the way.
So they would just say,
and that was like
we nomad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was kind of like me after I had lost my house, where I was kind of just like traveling from like friend's couch to friend's couch, and I would go to like a friend's couch, and then that place would burn down, and then I'd go stay on another friend's couch, and then that place would burn down. I was kind of traveling.
So you would probably, I think you're a nomadic spirit.
Yes. Well, I mean, I live in a permanent place now, but I mean, I would say for a good 20 years of my life, that's how I was living. And so I definitely can relate to your lifestyle. Now, I do want to ask, I mean, so we talked about our cures because our chakras are all screwed up.
One point of contrast here. So Cameron's pseudo-nomadic thing, he was angry every time whenever those houses burned down.
I was furious.
Sorry,
I forgot to mention that. I was furious.
That could have been because of your solar plexus chakra.
Oh.
Or just, like, because he gets...
That explains it.
Whenever people clean up their dishes, sometimes that upsets him. When people, like, are tidy, that can really set him off.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it totally explains why I did that thing and why I put that thing there and why I said that thing to that person and why I put that person in that position. It's because my chakra was messed up.
Yeah, exactly. It all comes down to that.
So you taught us before about these kind of words of affirmation that we tell ourselves and then these yoga positions. Is that it? I mean, is there anything else that Dr. London and I need to be doing?
Yes, actually.
Or are we balanced?
Yeah, we got a little off track, but not quite balanced yet. We're like half balanced, half imbalanced.
Oh.
So
Okay.
there's only a couple more things that we need to do. One is to take that tiger's eye crystal or any yellow object that you might have, and you're just going to
Or my
you're just going
urine.
to insert that directly into your belly button.
Okay, good. Okay, good. That's much better.
And now the solar plexus chakra, it vibrates at 528 hertz. So I
Okay.
have this
Should I be measuring? That?
It's okay because I have this Tibetan singing bowl that is tuned to 528 hertz. So this will target the solar plexus chakra, and as you can hear, that's 528 hertz. So
Okay.
now as I
I'm getting 527. Oh, there's the 528. Okay, 528. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, as I play this singing bowl, we're going to take a deep breath in and we're going to chant Om. And we're going to try to match that tune of 528 hertz. Okay, ready?
Okay.
All right, so take a deep breath in through your nose. Just. And now.
If we hit it for a second, does that?
The longer you can hit it, the longer you can hold it, the better. The more. That's just bringing that chakra into alignment.
Yeah, I can feel my belly button getting warmer. I mean, I did have to piss on my belly button, but because that was the yellow object I had, but I
that
can feel
works.
it getting warmer.
That means it's working. That means it's starting to kick in. Now there's
No, and I did say Om more than both of you combined. I said Om like 1,000 times. So I mean, I kind of won, right?
yours is supercharged at this point. Now there's only one last thing that we have to do to lock this energy into place, and that's to we're gonna rub our hands together really fast. Keep going for like 10 seconds.
One.
Okay, that's good. Now separate them out.
Two.
And put your fingers together like this, like you're holding a ball in between your hands, and you should feel some warm heat energy. That's some chi energy that's pulsating between your hands. Now just open your mouth and put that into your mouth. Swallow it down, and
My hands?
the energy, the ball of energy that was in your hands. Now it's going down your stomach. It's yellow in color. It's this bright yellow light, and now it's in your solar plexus.
Why does it taste like piss?
That's because that's what the color yellow actually tastes like.
So is there a chance that the friction from rubbing your hands together created heat, and maybe that was the heat that we were feeling whenever we rubbed our hands together like that?
Now that would be a scientific explanation for a phenomenon that is also taking place as in quantum entanglement in the spiritual realm.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the double slit experiment, right? That's quantum.
Yeah. And what's special also about 528 hertz, it's a digital bioholographic precipitation, crystallization, and miraculous manifestation of diving frequency vibrations.
Wow.
Okay, good to know. And for our listeners, I'm sure we can take that home and really, I guess, find a practical use
Take
for
it
that.
to heart.
So, Okay, so are we at the end of it? Have our chakras aligned?
Yes. Now the solar plexus chakra should be firing on all cylinders, and it should be perfectly all lined up. So you should be feeling great.
Wait, and
right now.
How many hertz again?
528.
And how many
Okay.
cylinders was that?
All of them.
You said firing on
all cylinders.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so do we flip on the chakra machine now, or whatever?
Yes. Yeah, now it's like Christmas lights. When you plug it in, all of them light up, as long as there's no breaks.
Okay. So I guess I can't really say that I feel much different, but from your read on me, I'm guessing that I'm aligned now.
I can sense a difference in your aura. Even if it's not something you can feel right now, I can see the changes taking place.
Okay.
I definitely feel different because I'm covered in piss. So I'm mad about that, and it's a mess. So I would say, I've seen a lot of changes.
Well,
so Cameron's moved further away from the nomad situation then.
But, maybe my chakra being aligned isn't nomadic. Maybe it's yes-matic.
Okay.
Everyone's is different. That's science.
And since we're opposites on this, I guess that I would be the nomad.
Yes.
All right. Well, this has been a learning experience.
525,600 hertz.
Do you all know about the conspiracy of 432 hertz?
No, I never. I guess we aren't really into conspiracies on this podcast normally.
Well, this is one of those few conspiracies that is actually true. Now, the A note in all instruments back in a century ago, there used to be no standard A tuning, but 432 hertz used to be what A was. And that resonates with the Schumann resonance. That is the frequency that the Earth makes when it rotates, which is only 8 hertz, a very low frequency. 432, it resonates with the Earth. And so it's a very natural feeling frequency when we hear it. Now,
But the problem with that is that the Earth doesn't rotate.
True.
Because it's flat? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It can rotate on that flat plane, It can.
Look, I'm not a conspiracy guy. I don't like to get into all these conspiracies about like what's true and what's not. Let's just accept the Earth is flat, and that's it.
Well,
do we have to get into these conspiracies and music was different back then? No, music has been the same since the beginning of time, and the Earth is flat. Let's accept this truth.
Well, but here's where the conspiracy comes in, though. It starts with the Nazis. The propaganda minister for the Third Reich, Joseph Goebbels, insisted on changing the tuning of A from 432 hertz to 440 hertz in Germany because he believed it made people think and feel in specific ways, making them a prisoner of certain consciousness. And
agreed.
Furthermore, and this is a quote, the monopolization of the music industry features the imposed frequency that is, quote, herding populations into greater aggression, psychosocial agitation, and emotional distress, predisposing people to physical illnesses and financial impositions, profiting the agents, agencies, and companies engaged in the monopoly.
Oh, is that why whenever Selena Gomez comes on the radio, I get real pissed off? Is that why when Justin Bieber's on the radio, I'm like, turn this off right now?
They're all tuned to 440 hertz, which it clashes with our natural vibrations.
And is that why I prefer to read or study without music?
Very likely, unless you are listening to some 432 hertz music, which it is out there, but it's hard to find. You have to look for it.
I'm usually not.
Is this why when Lady Gaga comes on the radio, it makes me want to puke? Is this why when Imagine Dragons comes on the radio, I want to run in the opposite direction?
I'm sorry. This is actually part of Cameron's stand-up set, and you triggered that. So I feel like we should stop this before it starts.
I mean, are you talking about whenever Adele comes on the radio, and I'm wanting to get the Dell out of there?
Say what? So he will just keep doing this.
Oh, when Ariana Grande is on the radio, I wanna. Let's see, Grande means big. So I wanna
Starbucks.
Yeah, order
something.
a small.
Kid size, yeah.
Order a kid size. Cheese
Okay.
small, maybe that's.
Well, all of that is to say, I tuned my guitar to 432 hertz, and I brought it along with me, and I was wondering if I could play a song. It's a yoga song.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice to have some music can be, soothing and healing for people.
All right. Would you like to sing along? These are how the words go. Ready? May the long time sun
May the long time sun
shine upon you.
shine upon you.
All love surround you.
Maybe we'll just hear it.
And
On you.
the pure light within you.
And I'm pure, not a woe.
You should guide your way home. Okay, ready?
And if you found me sound.
Okay.
It sounds like we are.
Yeah. Okay, ready? May the long
Zippa zippa zap. Zobba dabba doo. Zooba dooba dabba dee ba doo ba doo ba
shine
doo.
upon
Zabba zabba zeedoo. A waza waza wa. A zika zaka zeeda da da doo 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 doo. Bisa basa boo. A basa basa boo. Zeedoo da zeedoo doo doo. Meena meena me. Reader 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 reader. Ba 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 ba.
and the
Zoopy 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 za. Zee a za. A ba da ba da ba. Meena mana boo ba da doo da da. Rhythm in me and a moo da boo da boo.
guide your way home.
All right. Well, that was great. And normally, I see you guys have a sort of a drum circle starting up. So I think that'd be a time where maybe it's best to leave this, off the podcast because we are a medical education podcast. But great to hear that and to get a taste of that frequency.
That was some sonic medicine.
Yeah, thank you too.
Thank you. I feel, like I said before, I feel very warm. I feel very collected. I'm very pissed off. I think everything is correct.
You might feel a little bit of a warm, tingly feeling. That's it.
Yeah, there's just a huge mess everywhere. It's going to take hours to clean up.
That's perfect. Your chi is popping off.
I love it.
All right. Thank you to Rev Jay for being on the podcast. Rev Jay, do you have any way for listeners to follow you or keep up with you outside of the podcast, or are you primarily nomadic and staying off the grid?
Well, I also deliver packages for FedEx, so you might see me on your porch. Other than that, you're just gonna have to chase me down.
Okay. All right, and thank you to our producer Cameron also for helping to provide the equipment for the podcast. That's really his main role here, and finding guests.
And thank you, Dr. London, for finally embracing this sort of new science that you usually try to push out, and embracing that the Earth is flat, and embracing that the chakras are real, and you're finally opening up to these things. Thank you, Dr. London. This has been a very special day for me.
Okay. And thank you to Digital in the House.
It's a digital bioholographic precipitation, crystallization, and miraculous manifestation of diving
Frequency vibrations.
and that resonates with the Schumann resonance. That is the frequency that the Earth makes when it rotates.
Which is only 8 hertz. Very low frequency.
432.
Frequency vibration.
My name is drlondonsmith.com, and this has been the Jock Doc Podcast.
See ya.
You laugh gleefully as you pass one child after another, kicking the ball ahead. One child stands directly in your path, and whether or not this was by their own intention, you are not willing to condone such an impediment to your course. So you physically pick up and violently throw this child to the side as you run, still kicking the ball ahead of you. Finally, you begin to slow down, out of breath, and pick up the ball. The cashier asks, "Will that be all?" And you grin ear to ear with the knowledge of such a successful trip to Walmart. "Oh yes," you reply. Speaking of reasons to grin, don't forget to leave a 5-star review of the Jock Doc Podcast, in which you describe the human impediments that you have encountered while doing some essential shopping. And while you're at it, go ahead and share the Jock Doc Podcast with a friend or foe. You can send them a link to your favorite episode, or just send them our handy website, jockdocpodcast.com. And don't forget to take a peek at our posts on social media. We are at Jock Doc Podcast. Thanks for listening.